Gotta go back to the studio, man. Got a lot of shit on my mind, man. Weighing on my chest. What time I get this shit off? You hear me? The funeral with the mood to sleep. Wish he can wake right up and talk to me. Told my cousin, man, get out the streets. Keep on playing, you're gonna be in them streets. Burden on my heart, got a burden on my heart. Stabbed in the back, can't believe I got these scars. Can't trust my fam, man, them niggas low down. I don't give a damn. Fuck America, nigga. Talking about land of the free. Ain't shit free. Modern day slavery. Say a nigga can't you see? We got enemies. And it's a person be killing me. Telling the truth. Y'all niggas not killing me. And I saw the real man, you're not friends with me, huh? Burden on my heart. Got a burden on my heart. Stabbed in the back. Can't believe I got these scars. Can't trust my fam. Man, them niggas low down. I don't give a damn. 400 years, yeah, we went through that shit. July 9/11, don't forget. Ain't nobody even helping with shit. We went through that shit. Negative power's a bitch. Yeah, y'all niggas ain't give a shit. Yeah, and fuck the white man. All he ever did was talk. Good as a bitch. Yeah. Got a burden on my heart. Stabbed in the back. Can't believe I got these scars. Can't trust my fam. Man, them niggas low down. I don't give a damn. Say, man, let me talk to you real quick. Hey, man, I'm a priest, man. Show some goddamn gratitude because my prayers actually matter. And I'm out here trying to save you. That's what I'm trying to do. You in hell, you don't even know it. You think this your heaven, but it's really your hell. And my people in hell, and they don't understand. Hosea 4:6. But it's my job to risk my life and my duty and honor to follow Christ and risk my life. Shalom. Got a burden on my heart. Stabbed in the back. Can't believe I got these scars. Can't trust my fam. Man, them niggas low down. I don't give a damn. Price, you gotta come back now. Ain't gonna lie, yeah, it's about to go down. Niggas don't know it, he gon' show it for sure. Yeah, niggas gon' kick in your door, bust in your door, kill everybody in that motherfucking house. Who was my mother? Who was my father? Pray you understand, ain't got no further. Burden on my heart, got a burden on my heart. Can't trust my fam, man, them niggas low down. I don't give a damn. A lot of 4PK shit, man. You know what that stand for? ISUPK shit. You know what I'm saying? This Saint, man, this shit about to be over. Figure up out of here real soon. I died dancing in the rain for the Saint. Yeah, man. Pussy in the can, nigga. This UPK shit, whole lot of that. All right, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. And since 1969, we have been educating Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on a true nationality, culture, and heritage, according to these scriptures. And with that being said, today is Wednesday, law class. And in the Bible, the Lord commands us to come together. The Lord commands us to not integrate, to not have interracial marriage, to not follow any ways of these other nations. That's why it's the Holy Bible, and the Bible is only separate, and holy means separate, and separate for a specific nation of people. And with that being said, you have to understand that not everybody that utters their lips and holds this Bible is authorized to teach this Bible. The only men that are authorized to teach this Holy Bible is the men that it talks about. And especially the men in the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana, the true professionals of this law, the true professionals of this here book. With that being said, you have to understand that as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we all have a common enemy. As a matter of fact, as every nation upon the face of the earth has a common enemy, and that common enemy is the white man, the Caucasian man, or the Edomites, the biblical nationality in the Bible. Right? Now, Today, we're going to dive in the true meaning of the Ku Klux Klan or the KKK, further known across the world. With that being said, could I get Zephaniah 2 and 1? We're going to dive into it to let you know that this Bible is indeed real. This Bible belongs to us and how our oppressors really feel about us. Go ahead when you got it, priest.
It's the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gather yourselves together.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, gather together.
Uh-huh.
O nation not desired.
Right. Read it again.
Gather yourselves together.
Right.
Yea, gather together.
Uh-huh.
O nation not desired.
Stop right there. Right. Now, this is the Lord telling us to gather together. Why would God say that? Well, obviously, God knows the position that we are in. He understands our trials and tribulations. He understands just as well as Christ does as well. He understands, just like Christ understands what his brothers and sisters are going through on a day-to-day basis here in this hell, God knows as well. Because we were put in this position because we disrespected the Most High. We decided to go and follow another nation rather than follow the Most High, Yahweh, and keep his law, statutes, and commandments. And that's why we have all these curses that fell upon us. And if one person does it, us as a nation have to suffer. You ever heard that one thing, you're guilty by association? You always notice that, I mean, if you get caught in a car and one of your partners got a gun and you don't have the gun, but you being there, you're guilty by association. If you go and say you sent a hit on somebody and it's through text message, you're guilty by association. You're getting caught up in that. You're going to be on that murder trial. Why? Because you're associated with that. Just because you didn't do it doesn't mean that you're not gonna reap the consequences. No, you were deed in part of it, right? Now, with that being said, the Lord is saying to gather together. Why is he saying gather together as a nation? In specific, he said nation not desired. Now, we all know blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians consist of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, which are the biblical nations, which are the biblical tribes, Salakia, of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right? You know, you got the Haitians, you got the Benjamites, you know, you got the Jamaicans, the Caribbeans, the West Indians, you know, them be the Benjamites. You got the Negroes, so-called Judah. You got Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Guatemalans, Argentinians, Cubans, Dominicans, so on and so forth, right? And don't forget about the Seminole Indians or the Native Americans, the Gadites, or the Native Americans, Native Indians, whatever you want to call them. But those consist of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And those 12 tribes are the nation that are not desired. They're part of a nation that's not desired. In the days when Ukraine was on the brink, well, we are in the brink of World War III. You might as well say we already in it. But when it had first started, right? And it's been started for years. But I'm going to say for the viewers' eyes as of today, because they might not know that it's been going on, right? It's been in the works. Whenever they bombed Ukraine and they had black people in Ukraine, do you not know that they did not let them on that bus? They didn't allow them to be on public transportation. Even in the midst of World War III, they said, we don't want no black people on this because we feel like that if they are on this bus, we're even more of a target. Black people ain't got to be on that bus for you to be a target. If Russia want to come and do something to you, they're going to come and do something to you. But that just goes to let you know that we are a nation not desired. You know, when the cops come and they arrest you, they come with at least 6 patrol cars. We are not desired. The only thing that we are told to do is play basketball like LeBron James. That's what we strive for. We strive to be the biggest rapper like the Baby and Lil Baby and G Herbos and the Chief Keefs, because that's what we think that we all amount to. And anything outside of that, we are not desired in any way. The only way that we are desired is for entertainment. So with that being said, I'm going to break down to let you know how our oppressors really feel about us, that we are just entertainment, right? This is the Ku Klux Klan, an American story. The KKK's true meaning, right? Robert Creel, Grand Dragon of the Alabama Ku Klux Klan. This is factual. This is on a lot of reports and newspapers. It's documented on the internet. You can go and search this. I have no reason to lie, right? He said, and I quote, these are his words that came out of his mouth. I don't believe in segregation. I believe in slavery. This is what Robert Creel, Grand Dragon of the Alabama Ku Klux Klan. Now, we all know the true history of the Ku Klux Klan, that they hated black people, an extreme hatred for black people. Killed us at the masses. That's what they did. And he said, I don't believe in segregation. I believe in slavery, right? Now, there was once upon a time we had a man named Martin Luther King Jr., right? Martin Luther King decided, hey, we should integrate, right? Need I remind you, this particular thing happened 1960s, 1963, right? At this particular time, this man is saying this. Need I remind you, this man has power. He has a following. He has other people behind him. What we would know today as the Confederate flag wavers. He had those type of people behind him, and they felt the same way. They did not believe in segregation. The hell with blacks and whites. No, I want them as slaves. And that's why in Zephaniah 2:1, the Lord says to gather yourselves together, yea, O nation, not desire. Because Robert Creel did not desire blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Only God did. He didn't desire us. He wanted us as slaves. That's what he wanted us as. He wanted us not to be segregated. He wanted us to be subject underneath his gods, his pagan religions, his pagan holidays, and to be whipped and beaten and utterly humiliated by the hands of another white man, by the nation of the white race. That's what he wanted, right? Okay. Now, if I could you give me Ecclesiasticus 12:10? We're going to break this down. When you got it, you go ahead and read it.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. For like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Read that again one more time.
It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. For like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Right. The Lord said to never. I repeat, never, underneath no circumstances. I don't give a rat's behind if the white man holds the door open for you. I don't care if he said good day. I don't care if he made your Starbucks coffee the best that day. The Lord said he don't give a damn. To never trust them, right? For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Now, let me put this into more of a practical sense, more layman terms for you to understand, right? Have you ever had a pipe in a metal pipe, right? An iron pipe, right? As it gets older or water hits it, it loses its color, right? As when it was first, made, and it begins to rust. Now you would think that the rust would go away. You only need a little bit of water on it. You can keep it up out of the water for years and keep it in your garage. But the rust will continue to come and come and come and come until eventually that iron pipe is rusted and eroded away and no more. Doesn't matter what you do. It's the same thing with the white race, the Edomites. No matter how much love you show them, no matter how much hugs and kisses, no matter how much you bend the knee, no matter how much in religions, they're going to continue to increase in wickedness. And that's why the Lord said to gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. That's one thing that you really have to understand. How long will ye simple ones live in simplicity? They give us everything. They give a gift destroyeth the heart. They give you basketball. That is a gift. It destroys your heart. What is your heart? Not the thing that's beating in between your chest. No, your mindset. It destroys your mind. Now you think that you're only worth you're worth a couple millions and a leather ball, and you wear tennis shoes with a jersey that's not even owned by you. And you go out there and you run and jump and dunk that ball at the risk of you being away from your family time in and time out, and potentially injuring yourself for $400 million. That's all you worth? Because in the Bible, it says that a man will be more precious than fine gold. And you over here selling yourself out for 400 million. You see, you got to understand something, man. The white man is a goddamn diabolical, vile, evil beast. That's what he is. And he will never love you. And that's why the Lord says to stay away from them. How many times do we have to die at the hands of white people for you to understand that they do not love you?
Like if I'm
Go ahead.
Man, what the priest is bringing to the table is heavy, man. And this needs to go roundabout if you're a so-called black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. I want to say just a few weeks ago, a 9-year-old brother of ours, right, was shot by an active on-duty officer because he said that the child was approaching him too fast. Now, what in the heck silly F fidgety fudge could a 11-year-old possibly do to a so-called well-trained professional, right? That wears that disgusting badge that's supposed to protect and serve. What kind of danger were you in from a 9-year-old, man? We are the nation that is not desired, therefore we should never trust our enemies, man. It's like you.
And if I could add to that, what the priest said is absolutely heavy. That example he brought out, a 9-year-old boy died at the hands of a white police officer because he approached him too fast. Yeah. But the same treatment is not done for little Timmy or little Jacob when he approaches you too fast wielding a machete. But yet you shoot an unarmed black boy. Do you not see the hypocrisy in the words that they talk? They say they love you. They say that we're brothers. They say that, we all can get along until push come to shove, and they feel that their life is in danger. What do? They up the gun first. It's no talking. They shoot first and ask questions later. Matter of fact, they don't even ask questions. They just shoot first because they're wicked and estranged from the womb. In Psalms 58:3. And as soon as they be born, they speak lies. That's what they do. As soon as they be born, they kill, just as it says in Isaiah 59:7, that their feet run to evil and they make haste to shed innocent blood. And everywhere that they walk, destruction is in their paths. How can you trust somebody? How can you trust a nation? How can you trust these group of people? And time in and time in, they have shown you that they don't love you. Now, let me give you a prime example. Because if you in the hood and you banging sets, need I remind you, none of these blocks is ours. They are owned by who? The god doggone white man. And you best believe that god doggone patent office played a major role. So with that being said, since they own everything, and we fighting over everything following in their footsteps, right? Because they the first one was the Bloods and the Crips with the Democrat and the Republicans, right? Now we doing street politics. They just doing it on a bigger scale in a more professional way, as they say, right? We banging over blocks that's not ours, right? And as soon as somebody come and slap my brother, I'm ready to go and spin the block and kill everybody grandma, kill everybody kids. But the moment the white man go and do it to you, you're not going to go in his gated community and do it to him. But he did it to your people for 400 plus years. Where in your heart, where in your mind, where in your soul do you strike up enough anger, strike up enough courage to come up against them? But instead, they have beaten us down so much that we became docile. We go into the militaries and fight for them. We the first niggas online, Salakia. And we died the masses. And we come back here and we World War I, World War II vets. You done went to the tour Iraq and Kuwait and Baghdad, and you come back here and you get treated like trash. That's what happens. And that's what happens when you follow the ways of the white man. Because at the end of the day, he do not love you. That's what you have to understand. That our oppressors hold themselves not guilty. Because this is their kingdom. They can do what they want. So how many times does a George Floyd, a Trayvon Martin, a Breonna Taylor, a Sandra Bland, a Fernando Castillo, how many times do brothers have to die in front of you publicly on video camera for you to understand in your mind that they are pure evil, that their minds are filled with iniquity. How many deaths? We're not even talking about the ones alone here in America. Talking about we can go all to the other islands and lands where we done died by the masses at the hands of the goddamn white man, right? How many times do we have to die? How many times do our kids got to get shot down for you to stop trusting in their system? How many times do we got to get racially profiled and racial slurs and wrongfully accused of crimes or saying you fit the description to understand that they do not love you? God created them that way, and that's the way that they're going to be. You cannot change them. It's nothing you can do. You can't go to the wild and make a lion not be a lion, because guess what? You bring him into the zoo and now he's domesticated. What does he still do? He'll still kill the zookeeper. He'll still kill anything up in that enclosure. Why? Because it's embedded in him. It's the same way with the white man. He has evil and iniquity embedded inside his DNA. His DNA. Right? Khan. The oppressor. Right? Forgot I got to be wise with my words, right? The oppressor has a way with words to manipulate us. But you got to understand, you cannot have that veil put over your eyes. It's time to pull that veil over from in front of your eyes and understand that the ISUPK, the commanding General Yohana, is the only reason you're going to live. And in whatever city that you're in nearest, you should get a flyer. You should go to class. You should, and if you are a brother, you should come into the school and attend these camps to fight for Yahweh's kingdom instead of living in this messed up kingdom, because we have nobody that we can trust. Nobody, right? Now, if you could you read that scripture again, right? Then I got these facts that I'm gonna lay down.
That's a plus. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy.
Right.
For like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Right. So I got this. This is part of an article that I'm reading, right, about the Ku Klux Klan, right? Now, it reads, the Ku Klux Klan is the oldest terrorist group in the United States. Now, I'm going to stop right there, right? Because I remember it was once upon a time, we had the Lord's 54th annual Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it made the news that we were coming to attend there, and we had the convention center sold out to host the Lord's 54th annual Passover. And you know what they said on the news channel? They said that a terrorist group was coming down to hold a Passover. Whoa. I don't know if I heard this right, but last time I checked, we got the so-called Jewish man, the false Jews. They hold a Passover as well. But need I remind you, they are part of the same people, the same lineage of the same people, our oppressors who oppressed us for 400 plus years. And not one time did they utter a lip to even call themselves oppressed, to call themselves terrorists. They don't never own up to their own to say that we are the terrorists. They go over to the Middle East and call the Arabs, right? They go over to Syria and they call the ISIS and all them, they call them terrorists. But they don't call themselves terrorists. Then they call us terrorists. How are we terrorists? We just read the Bible, the same book that everybody on the face of the earth claims that they believe in. But we're terrorists because we're just trying to tell you the truth of the Bible? Because that's the same objective that you have when you go to church. When you attend church, you attend to obtain learning and wisdom from the scriptures through your pastor. So in all actuality, you're going there to say, hey, I want to learn more about these scriptures, the truth of the Bible. What is my faith really? What is my foundation of my faith really on? What am I really believing in? Who is Christ really? What is the law really about? What can I really not eat? Who can I really not marry? Who is Mary? Who is Christ? Who is Joseph? You're trying to figure out all these answers through the pastor because you want to know the truth of the Bible. But when we come out here and tell you the actual truth of the Bible, we're considered terrorists. When in all actuality, the articles prove that the KKK is the oldest terrorist group in the United States. I'm going to read on. It's a secret society of Caucasian supremacists that preaches hatred of Black people, and which has lasted for decades and is always managing to reinvent itself. Come on now. They got a Confederate flag waving around. And you think that the KKK is done away with. It's not. You got to understand that them KKK members are in the police force. They went undercover because they understand that, like, with their movement that they have had for decades, it causes such a controversial take. You know what I'm saying? That they understand that they have to disguise themselves like chameleons because the backlash that they receive for being so openly racist. And a lot of people are coming up against them, right? Granted you, right? That's what our oppressors do. You're trying to make it seem like they're so bad, when in all actuality, you can just take them out of the picture that an everyday Caucasian man walking around is a racist. You just got to push him to that point just enough, and he'll show you, right? If I could I get Ecclesiastes 7:7? Right? We're gonna see what the Bible got to say about these people, right? We're gonna see what the Bible has to say about our oppressors. When you got Ecclesiastes 7:7, you can go ahead and read it, priest.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 7.
Right.
Sure, oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Wait, say it again. Say it again.
Surely, oppression
Who?
wise man mad.
Good night. Keep going.
And a gift destroyed the heart.
All right, stop right there, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier, right? When a gift destroyeth the heart. Now I'm going to start from the beginning, because surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. I'm going to break it down, right? Now, you know, for 400 years we have been oppressed. You understand that. They literally taught us this in school, not just in my generation, but generations before me. It's been being taught for generations. And the only time that they even talk about us is in a light of slavery. It's never nothing good. It's always Rosa Parks was at the back of the bus. Harriet Tubman freed all the slaves. We were enslaved in Egypt, you know, or have it. Well, at least in my school, they used to try to say that our oppressors were the Egyptians. But biblically, we know through the ISUPK and commanding General Yohana that the Egyptians were indeed Hamites, aka Africans, and not the Caucasian man. But you know, they try to twist it up in there and try to say that they were so royal and they had all these kingdoms and this and that. No, this is their kingdom. This right here, as well as Rome, as well as Greece, as well as the Babylonians, right? They have a history, but they always try to put themselves in a limelight to say that they're so great, that that their life really means something, right? Where was I at? Okay, yes. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. Now, granted you, in high school, you're learning all this information, and they're talking about you in such a negative light and how bad we've been oppressed by our oppressors. The oppressor is literally teaching you social studies or history class about how bad his people oppressed you. The oppressor is literally doing that in front of you and grading you upon how much you know, how much I taught you about, how much I oppressed you through my oppressors oppressing you. And they grade you on it, literally. You literally take this class and you have to pass this class learning about how much you were oppressed. And that does not make you mad. But I understand why it doesn't make you mad, because you have no wisdom to understand that they are your enemy. But in the ISUPK and the commanding General Yohana, we're here to tell you that they are your enemy. Now, since you understand that they are your enemy, Salakia, you now are starting to gain some type of wisdom, right? Through these scriptures. Now, that should make you mad. That should make you mad. But what does our oppressors do? Just like the subtile beast of the field, he slithered his way in, just like Randy Orton with the RKO. He watch out. He's slithering in, and he comes in and does the RKO to you. And what is that RKO? He gives you a 360 deal with Empire Records, Interscope. You know, he gives you a $400 million contract with the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, tennis, soccer, hockey, whatever sport. He gives you marijuana. He gives you crack cocaine. He gives you opioids, Slovakia. He gives you Percocets. He gives you Xanax, ecstasy. He gives you all these things that fulfill the lust of your life, and to you, you think it's a gift because you're already living in sin. You're already living in the lust of your life, and he adds more into it. That's why you think at a high rate in Chicago, there's a train that drops off thousands of guns, and you wonder why the crime rate is rising. It's no coincidence. Why is military guns going on a railroad track through there? Y'all can literally fly them guns, but instead you would rather have them transported on the ground. And you know there's some goddamn black people gonna get up into it, or some magically how the train breaks down. Go ahead, what you got to say?
Yeah, if I could
Mm-hmm.
go back to Ecclesiastes 7 verse 7, right? Oppression maketh a wise man angry, right? And a gift destroyed the heart. Look at all these gifts that are destroying our people for the lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
First, right? Christmas. Second, New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, and the list goes on, right? And here's another gift that destroyed our heart. They will consider, right, having Pharisees to believe that we are so-called African Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're given an identity in which the Most High hates, instead of continuing our culture, our lineage, and our heritage,
Right.
being the loved and the chosen of, you know what I'm saying, a God of Israel. They'd rather distract us. Come. What's that? Now that's all I wanted.
I know, sweat. Most High in Christ. I'm glad you said something because you just brought something to light, right? And you was talking about that we believe that we're African Americans, right? Through our oppressors, right? This is why you should never trust them, right? Because that's two names of two different oppressors that helped oppress us, right? And they named us that as a byword, right? Throughout all generations, we've been named bywords, right? To further distract us away from who we really are. We're from the tribe. We're from the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? That's what they try to distract us from, right? And this entire time, I didn't see that this brother Dub or whoever this person might be, right? And you say your own people sold you into slavery. See, that is the exact reason why we cannot trust our enemies, because our enemies, since the time I was in high school and the men above me was in high school and so on and so forth, for generations of my brothers and sisters learning this, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we thought that other Black people sold other Black people into slavery. And that is the exact reason why you can never trust your enemy. Because I just told you earlier, when I was in high school, they had the pharaohs as a Caucasian man. That's what they had. They had the pharaohs and the sphinx in the images of a Caucasian man. Now you know Egypt is in Africa, right? And they said that those men were dwelling there. And then they say that our own people sold us into slavery. So who was it then? Was it you? Or was it the Africans? Or are you the Africans? I need to know something. And that's why you can never trust them, because they are hypocrites. Because that in itself, they're going to turn around and say, well, your own people sold you into slavery. But then you want to claim that you were the Africans there in Egypt. You want to claim that you were Pharaoh. You were the kings and queens. You were the Sphinx. When that is a lie. We all know who that was. That was the Egyptians. As it says in the Bible, I believe it's Exodus 11:3, right? When the Lord made a difference between the Egyptians and the Israelites. It's a whole reason why the Lord commanded Moses to come and get us out of Egypt, because we're being oppressed too long by those god doggone heathens. He said, let my people go. We were like, bro, we were being oppressed. It wasn't just the god doggone Caucasian man. Africans as well, the Arabs, the Chinese, the Hawaiians, they all had a hand in it. And you all know who taught them that way. The god doggone Edomites. That's what they did, our oppressors today. The number one ruler on the face of this earth, right? So that is a lie. That's why you can never trust your enemy, because they don't know how to teach the history. They want to teach the history the bad, but then try to be the good, and then try to be the bad in history as well. So you can never trust them. They want to tell you, what they'll say. Oh, you have a right to bear arms, but you got to be a certain skin color. Obviously, as you can see, I can't bear the arms out. I can't bear an AR-15, but Kyle Rittenhouse can. He unalive people on camera. Walked away free, went to college. But if I do it, it's a different story. You can never trust them because they have a forked tongue. That's what you have to understand, right? $11 and $7, the water. I was off a little bit. Exodus 11 and 7, the water for that.
You need me to read that for you?
No, you don't have to read it though. I just paraphrased the end of it just to bring to the point that there's a difference between Egyptians and Israelites, that we did not sell our own selves into slavery. And that's why you should never trust a white man, because they have a forked tongue. And to believe us that we are African Americans, or to make the Israelites, God's chosen people, believe that we are Africans. Never trust the enemy. They can't even teach you your own history. Now back to the lesson, right? Okay. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Now we went over the gifts, right? Now I'm going to read this part of the article as well. Its crimes have caused bloodshed. This is talking about the KKK's crimes have caused bloodshed in America for over 150 years. That's a long time, man, to just hate somebody. Just hate somebody. 150 years of hatred, racism, and horror. We didn't say, frightening. They said horror, because it was utterly terrifying for Black people to even be in the vicinity of those men when they wore those outfits and those costumes. We were scared to death because they were just hating us for no reason. And that goes back to Zephaniah 2:1, that we have to gather together, O nation not desired, because since the 1960s, since 1963 have not been desired. Even before then, and before then, and before then, in every captivity we have been in, we have not been desired. When will you understand? When will you learn? You have to learn fast. You have to learn quick, because if not, you will be at the hands and at their mercy. And you don't need to be at the hands of them and their mercy. You need to be at the hands of the living God, Yahweh. You need to be following Christ. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be underneath this banner, because this is the only place you can be safe. And if you think that's cap, as you say, you can ask the men above. You can ask the priests and prophets in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, and how their life has changed, how my life personally has changed, because I stopped trusting in my enemy's ways, and I started trusting in my own people's ways. And as you can see, I'm living. We're breaking the stigma. We're breaking the curses. We're allowing young Black men to live past the age of 21. That's what happens when you follow the ISUPK and the commanding General Yohana and never trust the enemy. But if you trust your enemy, you won't make it past 18. That's every young Black boy's, fear. That's what he writes off in his head when he walks out. I'm not gonna make it past 18. That's his life. But we are breaking that slowly but surely here in the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana, because we're showing you don't have to trust your enemy to live. You don't have to follow the ways. They're not going to do anything to you. You don't have to follow the pagan religions, the pagan gods. You don't have to eat what they eat. Nothing's going to happen to you if you're in the ISUPK and the commanding General Yohana, because we have the true protection of the Lord, just like David did when he fought Goliath in the Philistine army. How dare you come up against me, you uncircumcised heathen? You not understand, I got the true living God on my side. And the Lord had David's side through all those wars. Just like the Lord is going to have the ISUPK on the commanding General Yohana's side through anything that is faced against us. That's when you start to understand the Bible. You're really living it. It's not a game. This is real life, right? I'm going to read this next part, then I'm going to get my next scripture, right? So this is another one, another governor, right? His name is George C. Wallace, an Alabama governor, right? Now, majority of this stuff was taking place in Alabama. You know, that's one of the meccas, right? But it took place and started in Tennessee. That's where the KKK originated from, right? By 1963, Alabama Governor George Corley Wallace had emerged as the leading opponent to the growing civil rights movement, right? It's going to get deeper as to why he was doing this. 6 months later, he gained international notoriety for his stand in the door of the University of Alabama to block the entrance to 2 black students. Now, this is the whole reason why he gained notoriety. He was fighting for civil rights. He was going against it because he didn't want us black people to have civil rights. Hence is the whole reason why he stood in the doggone doorway of a college to block 2 black students from entering. That's what he was fighting for. Because he had the same message. Yeah, he had the same message as Robert Creel. That he don't believe in segregation. He believes in slavery. No. They don't need to come in here and be segregated. I want them as slaves. That's what he's saying. You got something to say, Priest?
Allah.
All right. Most High in Christ, right? And this is what he said. This is his quote. This is back in the 1900s. 1963 to be exact. You can fact check me. You can look in any history book, go to your libraries, go to the library online, or go to this article, right? Look it up. This is what George Corley Wallace said. He said segregation tomorrow and segregation forever. He didn't want black people integrating. He didn't want it. And deep down in his mind, he wanted them as slaves. But he was probably a little lighthearted, as they'll say, right? He said segregation tomorrow and segregation forever. This is his quote. Now, give me Deuteronomy 7:6. Because the Lord don't give a damn about segregation tomorrow and segregation forever. He could care less about that because this is how he thinks of us.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the planet Earth.
Read it again. Salah.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Right. Man, the Lord don't care about y'all talking about segregation, this and that. The Lord been believing in segregation. He don't care about what y'all talking about. We are a special and peculiar people to be set upon high above every nation upon the face of the earth. You think God care about some Robert Creel and George Curly Wallace talking about segregation? When this is the Holy Bible, holy meaning separate. This is a separate book for a separate nation of people. Man, we are above you people. We are above our oppressors. We don't care about segregation. We can be separate because the Lord wanted that all along. So if you want segregation, hey, Most High in Christ, give him a hand, because the Lord has been telling us since the beginning of time that he been wanting segregation. We don't got to listen to no white man. Salaki, we don't have to listen to our oppressors say that they want segregation, because the Lord been saying it. That's why it says in Zephaniah 2:1 to gather yourselves together, O nation not desire. That's the Lord saying, hey, segregation. That's what he's saying. Holy, separate. holy people, peculiar people, separate people from everyone else. Right? Salakia. Where I'm at. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the article, right? It's going to read some more to further explain this scripture, right? Because this is what George said, right? This is what George Wallace said. He said, in the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, meaning walked this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny. And I say, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. This is what George said, right? And that goes back to Deuteronomy 7:6, right? When the Lord says, for thou art an holy people. You over here stating segregation, 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 when the Lord been said we should have been separate from you. But it was Martin Luther King loving our oppressors and got us in this situation to integrate. And that was the worst thing that could have ever happened to us. But guess what? Martin Luther King, it's a changing of the guard. Through the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, we're going back to being segregated. And it's much needed because we've been integrated with them for thousands of years. And last time I checked, they've unalived all my people. That's what they have done. All my Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian brothers, they have unalived. That's what they have done. And they are a bad tree. And a bad tree bears bad fruit. But the ISUPK and the Commanding General Yohana is a good tree. And it bears good fruit. You can see every time we walk out. You see us in the classes at camp. You see us at the feast days. Nothing but good fruit. You see brothers and sisters join in harmony and in peace. The sisters got 6 babies on one arm babysitting while the other sister in the kitchen cooking. You got a brother over here helping the brothers cook the food and taking care of the cats and everything and doing food drives and the mission to a pastor, the mission to a Cunha. We got brothers out here that's really doing the work of the Lord and that actually care about brothers and sisters. And that's what happens when you don't trust your enemy. We would have never been able to do that if we were trusting our enemy. Because when we did trust our enemy, we trusted in their ways and their system. And their ways and their system is violence, disobedient, free will, free spirit. You do what you want. Eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Smoke all the weed. Do all the drugs. Go and lay with all the women you can of every nation. That's what trusting your enemy gets you. And last time I checked, anytime you do one of those things, the Lord is going to have to get rid of you in whatever way he chooses. But when you're in the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, you don't see none of that stuff going on with our brothers. Why? Because we are an holy people unto the Lord thy God. We understand that we are separate. And that's why we separate away from everybody else, because we understand our worth. We understand our wealth. We understand that we have a different mission to complete, and we cannot complete that mission by trusting in our oppressors. Don't trust in Christmas. You see what happened when you trust in Christmas. Santa Claus never came down your chimney. You never had a real tooth fairy. That was your mom and your dad. Sorry to break it to you. Your mom and your dad bought your Christmas gifts. Don't ever trust in a birthday. Every time you made a wish, it never came true. Every time you had a Valentine, that Valentine that you had that day wasn't really your Valentine. You had some other girl that was your Valentine that you didn't really want. Don't trust in a 4-leaf clover or good luck or superstition or sage or witchcraft or crystals. Every time you trust in them, you get nothing. And you're just going to sit there and look dumb, just like the rest of the nations, kissing rocks, worshiping rocks, thinking that you're smoking weed. You open your third eye and you're talking to Gabriel the angel and you're talking to the Most High God. No, you're not. Those are demons. Never trust your enemy, man. They're going to have you around here looking like a god doggone fool. And the longer you keep trusting in them, in the day of the Lord, when Christ returns with 200 million angels, and you sitting there with them crystals in that oven and you putting them towards the moon, you're going to be looking like a fool. You'll be looking like a fool when you're sitting there with them Christmas presents underneath your tree, thinking Santa Claus going to come down, when an angel going to come down and wreak other havoc to you because you did not follow God's laws. You didn't understand that your life is different and you have to be separate. That's what's going to happen. I hate to break it to you, right? Here's my next scripture. Okay. Give me Psalms 55 and 20. I'm gonna wrap it up in a little bit. Yeah, Psalms 55 and 20. When you got it, you can go ahead and read it.
Book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20. He put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant.
Right.
Verse
Stop right
21.
there. Right. Stop right there real quick. Right. He put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Right. Now, let me tell you something you don't know. The KKK started in 1865 in Pulaski, Tennessee, right? This is where it originated from. Then it trickled its way down to the South. And it made more sense to trickle its way down to the South because down, we know in these times they had slaves, right? They still believed in segregation, or they were still just coming off slavery. They still had all that stuff in their system, right? So it was even more that if this trickles down, it's just going to fit into their nature. They already going to grasp towards it. They like it, right? And with that being said, when the KKK first started, they didn't have those white cloaks that we were used to seeing. You know, if you can ask the older people that was living back then, they had dressed up in different types of costumes, but it wasn't in those white cloaks. It was just something very scary as an outfit just to scare black people, right? Now, the whole mission at this time that they were scaring Slovakia, black people just for fun. It was just scaring them for fun. Like, what type of evil person do you have to be to just scare somebody for fun? I'm not talking about like, you play around, somebody jump scare you. Boo, you laugh. I'm talking about like they were literally putting fear into my brothers and sisters. Fear. Just because at this particular time, and since that time and then on, they had the power, they had the glory, they had the reign, they had the authority. They could do anything they want because it was their towns, it was their cities, it was their kingdom, it's their kingdom. So they just having fun. They bored, nothing to do. Put on these costumes and just scaring black folk for no reason, right? Just scaring them. Remind you, before them, they really wasn't messing with them like that. It was sometimes, that they would turn a cold shoulder, just be all right. Just like it says in the scripture that, we cool, right? We cool. And then it became worse because they started to put on these masks out of boredom, and that covenant that they had with them, that we thought we had with them as black brothers and sisters in that time, they had broken. I'll never do nothing to you. I'll never do nothing to you. You're a good boy. I ain't gonna do nothing to you. And then come scare you half to death. Then it got worse, right? I'm gonna read how it got worse. Give me Psalms 55 and 21.
Verse 21. Words of his mouth were smoother than butter,
Right?
but war was in his heart.
Right?
His words were softer than oil,
Right?
yet were they drawn swords.
Yet were they drawn swords, right? So his words are smoother than butter. He could talk up a good talk. The oppressor can talk you into buying a god doggone car with a donut on it. He could do that. The oppressor can tell you that, hey, these shoes good, they ain't got no soul in it. The oppressor can tell you that this Ram 2500 is a great truck, but they don't have no transmission. He can talk a good talk. Why do you think majority of them are on commercials? They advertise everything. They advertise the body wash, the shampoo. They advertise, selling houses. It's their face because their words are smooth. And that's what their words were smooth to my brothers and sisters back then. Long before they even put the mask on. Talking smooth talk. Then when they got the mask on, they were still talking smooth. Then they started to draw swords. Then violence occurred. Then Slovakia, people were unalive. Bodies started to drop. And at this point, like I said, it's been embedded into them. Oh, they got greedy. They wanted more. They said, I have to do this again. And it just kept going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. That's what happened, right? Now I'm gonna sum this up, right? I don't want to be too long-winded. Give me Psalms 10 and 8. And then I'll briefly talk about Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was also a Klansman as well, and a slave owner, former slave owner, and a war criminal. Just like we always say, they fugitive and vagabonds. They got doggone criminals. They rape, rob, and unalive my people for 400 plus years. This is biblical. Go ahead and read it.
Book of Psalms, chapter
Mm-hmm.
10, verse 8. He
Mm-hmm.
sits in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent.
Uh-huh.
His eyes are
Privily.
set against the poor.
Right. Right? I'm going to read this part right here. Soon brotherhoods began to emerge out of the South with names like the Knights of the White Rose, the White League, and the Red Shirts. Remind you, in the midst of them even doing violence, they still had to try to make some valiant names to make it seem like they were such heroes for what they were doing, right? To shy away from the violence that has occurred, right? Plantsmen would stake out territory in front of voting booths to keep black men from participating in elections the South had to stay in white hands. And that's where the KKK comes from. Because it started out as boredom. But when politics came in, they couldn't allow other black men to go and vote in those voting booths to get one of a brother in office to change of the guard. So they dressed up in these cloaks and they would scare our brothers away from the voting booths and threaten them and threaten their family members and threaten to do very, very vile things to them and take their manhood away. That's what they would do. And our brothers would not go to those voting booths. And that's why it says in Psalms 10 and 8, he sitteth and lurk in the lurking places of the villages. And they were staking out in the bushes, hiding out, waiting for them to go to the voting booth and pop out and scare them with guns and knives, dressed up. And they would change their voice. And they would speak different languages as well, just to confuse them. Just because they needed the South to stay in our oppressors' hands. That's what they needed. That's exactly what they needed. And they caused a lot of violence. They caused a lot of people to be unalived. They committed so many crimes, and they're the real terrorists. And a terrorist is a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in pursuit of political aims. What did I just tell you? Was that not political? Did they not stop them from going to voting booths? They are the real terrorists. They are the real terrorists. And that's why you should never trust our oppressors. Why? Because they'll sit there and tell you that we are the terrorists for going down to Raleigh, North Carolina to celebrate the Lord's 54th annual Passover. But yet they have 150 years plus another 400 years of rape, robbery, and unaliving people on record and on video. And they have the nerve to call us terrorists. The hell with them, man. Come back and serve the true God of the nation of Israel, Yahweh. Come back and follow Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, our king, our big brother, that's actually going to come back and seek vengeance for us, thus saith the Lord. That's what you do. That's what you need to do. It's a high time. It's not time to be playing around no more, man. You keep trusting in them, and you're going to continue to lose your sons and daughters. You're going to continue to lose your life. Every day you follow their ways and trust them, your life is like a battery, slowly diminishing. You will never obtain real life and real joy and real happiness in this life, in this flesh here on this earth, if you trust in your enemy. So you got to make a choice. What's it going to be? You're going to choose life or you want to be unalived? I choose life. And I choose life for you as well. But you got to want life for yourself. So with that being said, you have to understand you have a duty. And your duty is to not follow our oppressors. Your duty is to what? Come up underneath this banner. The ISUPK under Commanding General Yahan. Kind of what kind? You have to come and join us because we are one of you. We were in the same position that you were in. We were once living that type of life, but we came together as the Most High commanded us, right? Now, this next part of the article is this part is this same man, right? Well, not the same man, it's a different man, but he's part of the same people, right? Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was a former slave trader, right? Now, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Then that'll be it. Because let me tell you this, me personally, in this flesh, I didn't come here on a slave ship, right? I didn't do that. That didn't happen to me, but it happened to my ancestors, right? I'll just say that, just to keep it in a more practical sense. And they came over here on slave ships, right? Read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48.
Mm-hmm.
4. Shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord hath sent against thee,
Right?
in hunger,
Uh-huh.
and in thirst,
Uh-huh.
and in nakedness,
Uh-huh.
and in want of all things.
Right.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Right. What did Robert Creel say? He said he don't believe in segregation, he believed in slavery. That's what he believed in. He liked it, the fact that we were subject underneath his authority. Right? Now, I just said that we shall serve our enemies. Who was one of our enemies? Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was our enemy. And we served him because he was a former slave trader. Our ancestors served him. But our ancestors are part of us, our nation. And if you don't have any type of anger, any type of hurt in your soul to feel for what your ancestors went through, then you have been bamboozled by oppressors that have made you docile. You got to understand something. You got to gird up your loins, man. Take your lineage back. Take your nationality back. Take your heritage back. It has literally been stripped away from you. I don't understand that with everything else we want to fight tooth and nail for and have some type of pride and ego in a way. But when we got our culture, nationality, and heritage stripped away from us, we don't want to fight for that. But if you go to the prison house, you fight for your life, so you don't want to be nobody's boyfriend. You fight for that. If somebody come up in your goddamn house and steal your PlayStation, you gonna fight for that. If you at the job and he said, I've been getting complaints and you ain't been doing too well, you gonna fight for that. You're going to fight for that job. You're going to fight for that record deal. You're going to fight for that NBA contract. But the only thing that you won't fight for is your nationality, your heritage, and your culture. The biggest thing on the face of the earth. That's way bigger than the NBA contract. That's way bigger than the NFL, MLB, way bigger than the 360 deal. No amount of money can attest to what the Lord has made us to be. His chosen people, his children. There's nothing else that can top that, right? Now, Nathan Bedford Forrest, right? I'm gonna tell you why. Because he got a little history on him, right? And I ain't gonna be too long-winded. So I'm gonna read this part of the article as well. It's the same article. During the Civil War, Nathan Bedford Forrest presided over the massacre of 300 to 400 black men who were surrendering. I said they were surrendering. Not that they kept fighting. No, they surrendered. They threw the white flag because they were outnumbered, right? They were actually Yankee troops that were surrendering to Forrest's troops, right? Now, in Forrest's mind, it's a goddamn field day. He was a former slave trader. He see these dudes. He's like, man, what do you think they did to slaves? They didn't just, some of them, they had slaves, and some of them they just made unalive. They got them knocked off. And then in this oppressor's mind, he's thinking war. He's thinking violence. He's thinking unalive them. That's what he's thinking, because he doesn't care about us. We're just pawns on a chessboard. We're just there to just be used as a sacrifice to him. That's what he thinks that we are, right? But Forrest allowed his troops to run rampage and, in fact, encouraged them to unalive all these people. I said 300 to 400 black men surrendered to his military. And you know what he told his military to do? He said, go and unalive them. That's what he said. And that's all to tell you what the Klan was really all about. Nathan Bedford Forrest was a former slave trader, a war criminal, and the first leader of the National Klan at its most violent moment. And in them times, in his Caucasian little mind, he was thriving because that was his heaven, to see us at our low point, to see us trusting in him, because they surrendered and they trusted in his mercy to say, hey, you won't hurt us. Surely as a man, you'd let us go. I know we've gotten some of your soldiers that you may have fallen and blood has been shed, but you've gotten some of ours as well. And you outnumber us. And maybe you'll give us the benefit of the doubt. And they trusted in Nathan Bedford Forrest, and what happened? He unalived them. And that's why you can never trust them, because they have a forked tongue. They have forked actions. Their mind is filled with iniquity. And all they think about is bloodshed. Hence the reason why when we go out to the corners, the street corners, and we go out and we prophesy, and we go out and we teach the God's laws, the truth of the Bible, they come up and they be fighting mad angry, because they don't want us to be a separate nation from them, because they know how bad that they need us to keep their kingdom to survive. But the moment we start separating away, you can see this kingdom is falling. You see the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana is bringing blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians back together, just like Christ was trying to do. Bring the two sticks back together. And as you can see, their nation is falling. Yeah, you can see it's trembling. Oh, they hurting bad. They're hurting very, very bad. And they know that their kingdom is ending. That's why they created the Space Force. They're trying to fight with the UFOs. They can't defeat them. That's why they over here trying to say, well, you need a sound ordinance for your speaker. You can't speak out here. Yo, we can't speak out here. But the god doggone Christians could run around with all these signs talking about Jesus saves, and Christ was a transvestite, and Christ was a woman. Christ was a man and a woman. They can do all this, but we can't come out here and speak the truth of the Bible. You believe in the same book I believe in, apparently. That's what everybody says. Well, if you don't, let me at least educate you on this book, because you have been teaching us wrong because you don't know the book. This book wasn't written to you. If I go and talk to my camp leader, Officer of 5,000 Yala, he's a Negro from the tribe of Judah. As Negroes, we speak in a different manner. We speak in slang. If I go and speak to another brother that's out on the street corner watching us prophesy to teach the Bible, I speak to him in a different manner. Hey, what's up, bro? So what's going on with you? Man, you trying to play some dominoes, play some spades? You know, hey, what's up? What's up, man? You know, we speak in a different slang, a different ways, different terminology. You know, we don't just be speaking like anybody and everybody on the face of the earth. And the Bible does the same thing as well. It's slang, because the Bible is about black and brown people. And the sooner that you understand that this Bible says to separate and to never trust thine enemy, sooner you will understand how much your life is valuable to the Most High God, how much of an impact that you can be. You can be the stop to the violence in the hood. You can be the stop to the drug and the paraphernalia plastered across the face of the earth. You can stop the narrative that we're not going to live past 18. You can stop the narrative that Yahweh Shai is a Caucasian man or an Edomite. You can stop that by coming underneath this banner under commanding General Yohana and the ISUPK. That's what you can do. And with that, that's all I had. If you had anything to say, or you got the security announcements, try to see if you ain't got them. I can get them real quick.
I got them.
Okay.
This is the ISUPK security announcements. We're the ISUPK. Start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves of the world. They need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Also, the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means tenth in the Hebrew. Oh, so like it. Yeah, means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'asra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the church department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offer for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. The upcoming holy convocation will be the memorial of blowing of trumpets. As far as on the first day of the seventh month, September 15th, 2023. This will fall on a Friday. You can find this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verses 24 through 25. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, all black shirt, all black pants, all black headband, all black scarf. This concludes the ISUPK security announcements.
All right. Do you got the prayer on you?
Sir, I got you.
All right, yeah, you can go ahead and get that. Let's get that prayer. Then we're gonna give a courtesy salute to the brothers and then the sisters. Go ahead and get that prayer.
We're gonna start, turn to face the east. With the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa.
Avanawa.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Yah.
Ayah.
Samka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Lakuka.
Wakuka.
Taba'a.
Laba'a.
Ratazayaka.
Atazaka.
Hayah.
Ayah.
Asha.
Asha.
Arataza.
Arataza.
Hawa.
Hawa.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Nathanawa.
Nathanawa.
Lakam.
Makam.
Ka.
Ka.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalaknawa.
Wasalaknawa.
Kabawatnawa.
Kabawatnawa.
Kasalakinawa.
Hasalakinawa.
Kabawat.
It cut out. I couldn't hear you using the matrix.
Kabawat.
Kabawatnawa. Kabawatnawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Banasayinawam.
Anasanawam.
Tabayanawa. Flagge. Tabayanawa. You there?
Come here.
Tabayanawa. Banasayinawam.
Anasanawam.
Ball.
Ball.
Awashayanawa.
Hashanawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka. Hamalakwat.
Kamalakwa.
Wahala.
Wahala.
Watapa. Lawalamyum.
Walanyam.
Aman.
Aman.
In the English. Our Father.
Our Father.
Which art in heaven.
Which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Howell.
Yahweh.
Thy kingdom come. That will be done.
That will be done.
Heaven. Give us this day.
Give us this day. Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
You forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
We forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the glory.
And the power and the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
So be it. Amen.
All right, let's give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Been to Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh, Yahweh, Barakatah. We're going to turn to Psalm, turn to face the sisters. Please give a courtesy salute to him in Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh, Shemar, Latah, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Shai. All right. Dismissed.